This one is gonna be really good. Comedian's name in the Epstein files. What the fuck is funny on an island?
Jeffrey Epstein was a huge fan of jokes.
The Jeffrey Epstein or a Jeffrey Epstein?
I got to be friends with him. I went to dinner at his house.
What? That's so cool.
And then went back to dinner, just me and him. It's a whole long story.
What was he like?
The normal, smart, decent. When I was there, I had heard from the guy that brought me there.
You mean his apartment?
He had trouble in Florida with underage girls. But I'd been to Florida a million times, and the underage girls that are 15, they look 25. So I wasn't.
You're like, it's Florida.
And it was a free meal at his house with other comics, so I wasn't asking a lot of questions.
All right, so in this
You did ask a lot of questions. This nigga probably fucked one of them girls, man.
video, we have comedians that were mentioned in the Epstein files, starting with Jackie the Joke Man Martling, who is one of the few people that actually seems to be proud of being in the files and having been friends with Epstein. Everyone else in there lies about it and downplays their connection to him and what they knew about him. But Jackie's just like, yeah, I was friends with him. He was a normal, smart, decent guy, I think he said. Also, he admits he knew about his first conviction, but cut him some slack because in Florida, you can't tell the difference between a 15 and 25-year-old.
Damn, look those eyes, bro. This nigga looks super evil, bro. God damn, look the eyes, man.
This shows that the people who were hanging out with Epstein after he was a registered sex offender were well aware of his past, but made excuses for him, like Jackie here. But he's the only one that's actually honest about it.
Yo, Jeffrey, are we on for tonight, Tuesday? Please let me know ASAP.
Probably because he doesn't have much to lose. If you're not familiar with him, at one point years ago, over 2 decades ago, he had a promising comedy career because he was an in-studio writer for the Howard Stern show until 2001. Then he got too arrogant. He thought he deserved more money and believed he could be successful on his own. So he decided to leave. And then, of course, it was all downhill from there. And now Jackie's claim to fame is he's in the Epstein files. Epstein was subscribed to Jackie's joke email newsletter thing. And Jackie was always sending him promotions for his CDs and comedy shows.
Oh my God.
Like he's always trying to sell him shit. Also, they talked about going to dinners, one of which Gilbert Gottfried was invited to, but I don't think he went. Same thing with Mark Maron. He was supposed to go to one of them, but bailed. It was one with Jackie, Woody Allen, and this other comedian, Bobby Slayton, who are both all over the Epstein files. And then also Nick DiPaolo was there. So it seems like a pretty random group of comedians.
A couple guys emailed me, said, Jackie, you're in the Epstein files. Because I don't know how long he had been on the Jokeland email list, but he loved dirty jokes.
Wow.
Because smart people love dirty jokes. Right. Like little problems.
What other comics did you meet there? Or
smart people.
I have a great picture of me with Nick DiPaolo, Bobby Slayton, Jay Thomas, Woody Allen, and me.
Cool. At his house in Palm Springs or in Manhattan?
2 East 71st Street.
Wow.
And it was great. And you have a great story from there that I will not tell you.
Oh, is it in the book?
No, I'm not sure who to share it with yet, but it's a story everybody knows. But it's funny because it was a story that I didn't think I should tell because it's not believable. And then it was written up in a book. And I'm like, wow, that rubber stamps my story. But now it's like, people are going to just say to me, oh, you read that in a book, so it goes full circle,
And I think the story he's referring to, he's already told multiple times. It's about how Epstein explained to him the reason him and Trump had a falling out is because Trump told him he likes to sleep with his friends' wives. And I guess that was too far for Jeffrey Epstein. Crazy. And Jackie's like, I get it. I mean, underage girls is one thing, but sleeping with your friend's wife is another level of sickness. But I guess now Jackie doesn't like to tell this story anymore because it was also in Michael Wolff's book. So people think Jackie got it from there. And Michael Wolff is kind of controversial. People think he was working with Epstein to try to take down Trump. But I'm pretty sure this is the story that Jackie was talking about that he now acts like he never told before.
It was a morals thing. And at the time, I didn't know how heinous Jeffrey was. I said, oh, really? What happened? He said, one day out of a clear blue sky, Trump said to me, do you fuck your best friend's wives? And I was a little shocked. And I said, well, I've never been married. But no, of course I don't. He said, well, Trump said to me, that's the only way I can get off is to fuck my best friend's wives.
What the fuck?
And he said, I just said, you know what? That's out of my wheelhouse. Honor.
This is the reason why I'm not a big fan of these niggas, bro. That's the reason why I don't take these niggas like idols. I don't see, oh, Trump, I want to meet Trump, I want to talk to him, I want to get close to his family, blah. No, I don't give a fuck, bro. He's a normal human being as me. He got some fetishes, he got something behind a closet. Yes, some skeletons behind a fucking closet. That's the reason why me personally, I don't treat anybody like God, bro. Nobody is a God in my opinion, bro. That's how I move, bro.
Amongst thieves, he said, that was it. I never want anything to do with him after that. He blew off Trump on a morals, and I totally get that. I mean, the guy's heinous and he's sleeping with underage girls, but fucking your friends' wives is a whole nother level of sickness.
All right, listen, I'm speechless.
So Jackie being in the Epstein files is probably the most publicity he's had in years. It's funny, Epstein, he had a lot of high-profile friends in different industries, but it seems like he's lacking friends in the comedy business. I think it's more embarrassing for him to have been hanging out with Jackie than the other way around. And same thing with this other comedian, Bobby Slayton, who I'm sure most people have never heard of, but he seems...
Most of these guys, they had their prime before we even had some consciousness. So right now, they're literally nobodies. They fell off the charts. There's this one guy, his name is Shaggy. He was one of the biggest world-selling artists at one point. But right now he walks around in New York. Nobody gives a fuck. Niggas right now making collabs with artists from Rwanda, bro. That's how the nigga fell off, bro.
To have been really close with Epstein. He has a ton of emails and messages going back and forth with them. He's almost in as many files as Bill Gates. He was also always asking Epstein if he could stay at his apartment. It seemed like these comedians were kind of mooching off of him. I mean, every other email is like, Bobby Slayton hates to pester you again, but wondering if he could stay at your apartment. Bobby's asking if he'd use the apartment. He misses hanging out with you. He stayed there so much and communicated with Epstein a lot. Also, some of these emails between them caught people's attention because there's references to pizza, which can be code for children. I don't know if that's what they're actually referring to, but there's a lot of talk about pizza in their emails, and it is kind of weird. And like Jackie, this guy's pretty open about his friendship with Epstein and the fact that he always used to stay at his apartment. He doesn't hide it, but he acts like, I don't know anything about the girls, though.
Jeffrey would,
Wait, this the guy now?
he gave me this apartment every time I went to New York. And, I had to, it's almost like Frank Sinatra going to see Sam Giancana. I had to go and see Jeffrey, and his secretary assistant would call me up because, sometimes Jeffrey wouldn't be in town. She'd call me up and, Jeffrey wants to know if you can stop by this morning for a little while. So I'd go by for like 20, 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes, and sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. He was always very busy. He had a line of people. I don't know if he had girls, whatever. I don't know anything about any of that. But I'd go because he's giving me this apartment. And all Jeffrey would do was ask me the same questions over and over and over about stand-up comedy. So when you're on stage, he was a brilliant man. He went to Harvard.
Yeah, I believe that guy. I really believe him. I don't believe that nigga was in a pedophile ring trying to traffic children and fuck them. Nah. Nigga wanted an apartment, nigga wanted somewhere to stay.
And Nick DiPaolo was another comedian that was at that party with Jackie, Bobby, and Woody Allen. But I think he only hung out with Epstein that one time because afterwards, Epstein emailed him and said, "Thanks for coming last night. Woody and I had a great time. If okay with you, I will contact you on my return to New York." And Nick responded and said, "Jeffrey, thanks for a great time last night. It was a real kick meeting with you and Woody. The house and meal were most impressive. Give me a little time to process that last part. As you know, you are a bit of a controversial guy. I mean no offense by that at all. LOL." So again, I think this shows people were well aware of Epstein's past. It sounds like Nick had to rethink hanging out with him again because he's a convicted sex offender, which I think Nick did cut him off there. Like he only went to that one dinner, then's like, yeah, I don't know if I should be hanging out with someone like that. So when the elites try to claim we didn't know about Epstein's past, they're completely full of shit. I mean, even these comedians were well aware of it, and they're basically nobodies compared to Epstein's other friends. I mean, the richest, most powerful people in the world are meeting with Epstein, knowing what he's already convicted of. But Nick DiPaolo...
the biggest cuck of all time, bro. Bill Gates, bro. Yeah.
A C-list comedian thought, I don't know if I should hang out with this guy anymore. He's too controversial. And I think he only met with Epstein that one time. Also, Joe Rogan was asked to meet with Epstein back in 2017. After Lawrence Krauss did his podcast, Epstein messaged him and wanted to get in touch with Joe to get on his podcast so he could try to rehabilitate his image. But apparently Joe looked him up and was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy. And he never agreed to meet with him, so I'll give him some credit there. But then he obviously ended up having on a bunch of Epstein's friends.
Yeah.
So after Lawrence did Joe's podcast, Epstein messaged him and said, I saw you did Rogan. Can you introduce me? I think he's funny.
I'm gonna react to that video about Joe Rogan after this one.
Yeah, and Epstein didn't have the best taste in comedy. He was also a Whitney Cummings fan as well. But Lawrence responded and said, I will reach out to Rogan. And Epstein said if Rogan wants, you could have dinner with him and Woody Allen. So it sounds like Epstein would try to use Woody Allen to convince these other comedians to meet with him. But Lawrence said, sorry about Joe Rogan so far. He seems more timid than I would have thought. And then recently, Kurt Metzger, who's good friends with Rogan, talked about this. And he said Lawrence was like harassing Rogan to try to get him to meet with Epstein. But Rogan just looked up who he was and is like, why would I want to meet with that guy?
He told me, he goes, Lawrence Krauss was trying to get him there. This is after the first arrest, okay?
Yeah.
So Joe looked the guy up. And he's like, wait, this guy has like weird pedo charges. He goes, oh, I assure you, he's not a pedophile. And he was trying to learn to meet Woody Allen. He goes, neither is Woody Allen, who also wants to meet you.
So, okay,
By
here.
the way, Lawrence Krauss harassed Joe about it. I think Lawrence Krauss was ordered to go try to get Joe.
Yeah, I bet he was.
So this is funny because what Joe just showed me is his correspondence with Lawrence Krauss. So this is the other side of it, of what was going on.
Yeah.
And it was Epstein it was like some trick to try to rehab the guy. And not only that, afterwards, when it got real bad with Epstein, so this is before the second arrest, Lawrence Krauss kept hammering Joe. He was like stalking Joe email. You need to get back to me, where it felt like not any explicit threat, but it felt threatening. It sounded desperate from the emails that I saw. So, and I always knew that guy was a creep. He's got all the physicists, by the way, almost all of them have a terrible reputation and really bad things about them.
And I was originally thinking, I don't know if I've ever heard...
That be Joe Rogan in the fucking comments, bro. That be Joe Rogan, man. Fucking love that bald man, bro. I can't wait to meet him and touch his bald ass head, bro. Nah, I'm chilling. But shout out to him, though.
Rogan tell this story on his show before, which is kind of strange because it's interesting and it makes him look good. You know, you could be like, man, I don't even want to have dinner with this creep, but then these billionaires are going to his island. So I thought that was weird, but then I just saw while I was wrapping up this video that Joe talked about it on his most recent episode. And maybe he has mentioned this story before, but I believe this is the first time I've ever heard him publicly mention it. Also, him talking about this is a really bad look for his friends like Elon Musk, because Rogan's like, I would never meet with that guy. I did a quick Google search and I realized that guy's a creep. I don't know why I'd want to have dinner with him, and I don't know why Lawrence is asking me about this. Like, what the hell is this guy thinking? But then somebody like Elon Musk is asking to go to the wildest parties on his private island. So the fact that comedians are all sketched out about him and turning down invitations, but billionaires and world leaders are going to the island is insane.
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going.
Maybe they wanted to network. They want to network with other billionaires. Have a good network. That's why they're going to find a way all the billionaires are going to fuck the little children. Allegedly.
Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah, and I was like, what?
You're like, no thanks.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad?
Yeah, but I would have never went anyway. It's like, it's not even a possibility that I would ever went.
But
especially after I Googled him. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, bitch, are you high? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
For what reason would you? What would be...
If I was a guy who was like sucking up to the rich and powerful, if I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
Parties and the...
Andrew Tate, 100% of one day, bro. Because Andrew Tate the type of guy to suck up the rich people, always want to be with the rich people, always want to hang with them. Some people are going to say that he's successful, that people are going to say he's cool. That's the type of person who went there, bro. Andrew Tate, when he was trying to ruin Sneaker's career, he was like, Sneaker can never get close to the Trump family. Sneaker can never do business with Elon. Elon can never even call him. Elon. Trump. Like, bro, who gives a fuck? There's still people at the end of the day. They still take a shit. They still get sad. They still cry. And they will still die.
The rich and powerful. If I was really interested in hanging out with rich and powerful people.
Parties and the invitations.
And blindly ambitious, right?
Yeah.
They're willing to like put aside, all the possibilities of what could be awful about these people and get together with them without even a cursory Google search as to who you're hanging out with.
Can't have your assistant Google something.
How about you just do it? Just
it doesn't take long.
Like, hey, look what I just found out. Ooh. This is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So hopefully he tells his story next time he has on one of his billionaire friends that met with Epstein, but there's no way he will. I mean, it's weird he doesn't talk about this more. You'd think this would be something he'd want to share. But maybe he didn't want to make his billionaire friends look bad, even though now he's obviously talking about it, so I don't know. But also, Louis Black is another comedian who met with Epstein. He went to one of Epstein's parties.
What the fuck is funny on the island?
He's at his place in New York City. Bobby Slayton invited him, and of course, Woody Allen was there. And he also admits there are some girls there as well.
And to boot, I was in Jeffrey Epstein's house once.
What?
Really?
Yes, with Bobby Slayton. I've got nothing.
How was Jeffrey Epstein's house?
Unbelievable.
I mean, but what was the occasion?
Bobby Slayton, I, Woody Allen, and Sun Yi.
Oh my God!
Oh, this is like a Mad Libs.
So yeah, what's the occasion for this?
It was that Bobby had gotten this. He had invited a bunch of, Epstein was like, let's go, let's get a bunch of hoo-has together. I mean,
Sure.
if you looked at the list of people he hung out with, so he liked Bobby's work, and then he said he wanted to meet me apparently years ago. This is like 7 years before the shit hits the fan.
Oh, yeah.
And we're there, and it was just kind of wild. And then the capper of the evening is, at the very end, David Blaine shows up.
Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Can you make these charges disappear?
So that was our night. I'll tell you, there were young girls flitting about, but I didn't know. Having not figured out anything on the Boyer bus about age, I had no idea. I didn't know how old or young they were.
And I think he might have met with Epstein a few times. He was at least scheduled to meet with him more than once. But he also calls for the files to be released. Like, he rants about it on his podcast, and he seems pretty passionate about it. So you can make of that what you will.
I don't really understand. I don't really understand why this grown man, this old man, really want to get attention right now, bro. You pushing 70, bro. Pushing 80 right now. Why you trying to get attention? Like, for what? What are you going to use it for? You want to be a president? No. You want to start a business? No. You want to set a course? No. Like, why? I want to know the motive, though. Maybe there's one big motive I don't know. But I can't understand why all these old men who ain't Epstein, right now, all of a sudden, a whole lot of nobody's podcast, bro. Like, what the fuck this podcast is, bro? Who is the owner? And who watches this?
Another thing he talked about was the night before he went to Epstein's apartment, the Israeli defense minister was there, and he was showing Epstein their new defense system on a whiteboard, and Lewis was all weirded out about it.
You go in and he's got a whiteboard and there's all of this stuff drawn on it. And he goes, you want me to tell you what that is? And I go, yeah, well, sure, Bobby and I. He goes, I had the Israeli defense minister here last night for dinner. And then
Netanyahu, bro. They don't want to say the name. It's Bibi.
He's got me and Bobby Slayton. I mean, what kind of a fucking, are you shitting me? And then he said, and so we were talking about, he was showing me what kind of defense systems Israel would use in case of attack.
Wow.
And I thought, you know what? First up, what is the Israeli defense minister? What the fuck is the matter? Why would you tell me this is already, now it's weird.
Yes.
Yeah. Nothing else is weird, but I know this was like a honk, something is wrong in this house.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is a guy who's working on his defense many years before.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
That's interesting. I mean, and this place was outstanding, right? I mean, it was just
it was major.
gorgeous. Yeah.
And it kind of is like a big, it was a big, and it didn't have a lot of furniture in it. It was very bare, but it was done well.
And one of the more famous comedians Epstein hung out with was Chris Tucker. He was part of that humanitarian trip.
What the fuck is funny on the island?
Trip to Africa with Bill Clinton and Kevin Spacey on Epstein's private jet in the early 2000s. So this was before Epstein was ever convicted. But also Kevin Spacey admitted there were young girls on the plane.
I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, who is this guy? So I will say this.
There were young girls on those flights.
There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
We flew Bill Clinton and a lot of different, that was...
No wonder this nigga was pegged the best. No wonder this nigga was acting in the best of the best movies, bro. Now we know why. Nigga was going to the Epstein Island, fuck bitches and get all these opportunities because they had a lot of blackmail on him. So whenever they're gonna try to say things they don't want him to say, they're gonna do him like this. If you get seen, the first picture which was releasing Epstein files were the pictures of the people they don't like. That's why they had to throw Michael Jackson in there. That's why they threw this nigga in there. Everyone that don't like Elon Musk, that's why they had to throw him in there. But right now, as you're speaking, Netanyahu is right now in the US again. He's probably in Miami right now. And there's this one thing, and there's this one conspiracy going on, saying that if Epstein, there's this one conspiracy going on right now, saying that Bibi came to pressure Trump. It was like, Trump, if you don't go to war with Iran, we're gonna release everything. You're gonna look like a pedophile. That's the reason why, again, I don't suck up to these people. I don't suck up to anyone. Because at the end of the day, they're still fallible. They're still human. The only people I can say I suck up is my parents, because they are the people who got me to this point. I'm living in the house right now. All of this, the house. The Wi-Fi I'm using is from my mom. The laptop I'm using from my mom. The phone I'm using from my auntie. Like right now, my parents, they're the one who gave me even the education of the English I'm speaking right now from Africa. People here don't even speak English. So they're the only people I can suck up. But anybody else who is not family, you're a normal human being, my G. I don't give a fuck about you, bro. You a billionaire, I don't care. You a beautiful girl, I don't care. You can change my life, yes. I respect that, but I'm not sucking up. Indeed.
That was a humanitarian.
Even if you're a viewer, whether you subscribe or you don't, I don't care. Do what you want to do.
Trip to Africa. And I met him on that trip because it was his plane. I didn't know who plane we was getting on, but it was a whole bunch
I didn't know who plane it was good enough. Niggas dumb as shit.
Dignitary people who was with a delegation. And yeah, I met him, and you know, you don't know people, what they do in their private lives. So yeah.
That's a fact.
You was on this private plane, and you could tell that it was a private plane because they called it, was it Lolita Express?
Oh yeah, it was a private plane. Yes. Oh yes.
But wait a minute. You didn't never go to that island, did you?
No. I don't know where that thing got.
Then Chris actually was scheduled to meet up with Epstein a few times.
Chris Tucker would love to stop by. He was ready to hear from you. I'm texting him your address, your house number. Chris is playing at a high, and then Chris wanted to pull up.
After his first conviction, in July of 2013, Epstein got this email from his assistant, I think, and it said, Chris Tucker would love to stop by. He was thrilled to hear from you. And then he was scheduled to meet with Epstein again, also later that year in August. But the comedian who was in the files the most, I think, is definitely Woody Allen. That dude is like one of the most mentioned people in there. And in this one email between Epstein and someone else, Epstein told him that he was going to Paris to meet with Woody, and the person asked if it was a pedo convention. So even Epstein's friends would make jokes about how creepy they are.
Damn.
Also, Woody Allen's wife/daughter was emailing Epstein about Anthony Weiner, who had just gotten busted for sexting a minor. And Woody's wife said, I feel sorry for him. It was disgusting what that 15-year-old did to him. I hate women taking advantage of guys. She knew what she was doing and how vulnerable Weiner was. What's her excuse for being a despicable and disgusting person? She should be ashamed of herself. And I bet this is how
that's crazy.
A lot of Epstein's friends thought of his crimes too. They think of him and the clients as victims. That's why when they say they're protecting the victims, they're really protecting the clients.
Yes.
They think the elites were taken advantage of by these underage girls. So it's crazy what's going on here. But look,
that's why all these Epstein files haven't been released until now. That's why there's a lot of things which is blurred out. They want to keep the victims safe. They want to protect them. They want to protect the clients. In other words, it's crazy, man.
Let me know you guys think about it all down in the comments, and make sure you check out the Patreon. I just posted a new video.
Yes, sir. So let's go watch the Joe Rogan, which is going to be uploaded after this one. Indeed.